Hi, my name is Pati and I am a naturopathic doctor. One of my favorite things about naturopathic doctoring is something called organ system diagnosis. This is a system that we use where we become detectives. We try to find the root cause of a problem. The exciting part about this is things that may not seem connected are actually connected. If a patient presents with eczema or psoriasis, we want to understand what's happening in the gut. If a person has hormonal issues, we want to understand whether the liver is functioning well, whether the digestive system is functioning well, because the body is so intelligently designed. We can't just focus on one thing by itself. And in this video, we'll be talking about the connection between the tongue and the rest of the body. There are 5 main tastes: sweet, bitter, sour, salty, and umami. When your tongue receives these flavors, it sends signals to your brain, and the brain sends out instructions to the rest of the body to prepare your body for digestion and to protect you. This becomes relevant when you, my friend, can eat more intuitively according to what you need. Let's start with sweet. When your tongue tastes sweetness, what it's picking up on is the sugar or the carb element of this food that you're eating. Your tongue also picks up on artificial sweetness, sends that message to the brain, and what the brain understands from this stimulus is energy is on the way. Your brain associates sweetness with incoming energy, and it prepares the whole digestive system for that sweetness. If you're looking at a root vegetable like a sweet potato, for example, most root vegetables have a lot of energy. That energy is made to help this plant survive. When your body takes this in, that signal begins. So let's say you're eating a sweet potato or a cassava. You have this vegetable, your brain gets the message, and it encourages that behavior. Because your body needs to survive, you need energy. And the brain sends out a little bit of dopamine to say, yay, you're doing good, keep eating. And the whole signal that your brain gets is encouragement, or that your body gets is encouragement, because you need to keep on eating. It also sends a signal to release a little bit of insulin even before your blood sugar rises. What is the relevance of this? Well, if you struggle with low energy, if you have low appetite, you're someone who says, oh, I don't like eating, I forget to eat. If your blood sugar is low, you may benefit from having more fruits, more whole grains, more root vegetables as well. So trying to add those into your diet. On the flip side, on the flippity flip, if you are struggling with overeating or food addiction, sugar craving, if you're struggling with your blood sugar, a great place to start is number 1, get rid of foods, ultra processed foods that contain artificial sweetness, because your brain is still going to reward you even if you're eating unhealthy foods, like reward quote quote. And if you would like to reduce that, you can interrupt that feedback loop, because the brain senses sugar, sends out reward chemicals, you want to eat more because it feels good, and then you eat more, and it's a cycle. But you can interrupt that by reducing foods that hyper expose your system to the sweetness element, and you can counteract that system with bitter food. This brings us to our second taste, which is bitterness. The bitter taste is quite an interesting one. When your tongue gets that bitter flavor, it's picking up on compounds like alkaloids or polyphenols. Let me give you some backstory. In nature, in the wild, when plants have high levels of alkaloids, they can be poisonous. So not every plant with an alkaloid is poisonous, but if they contain high amounts of those flavors, the bitter flavors, they can be poisonous. And plants do this for their protection. I mean, they're trying to survive too. Humans and animals tend to have an aversion for bitter tastes. And this is how plants protect themselves, because they can't run, they can't fight back, but they can taste terrible. And that's what they do. Humans or animals, when they try to eat the plant and it tastes quite bitter, they are less likely to overeat it. And that is the signals that happen in your brain when you taste something bitter. So for example, if you have some rocket or the cruciferous vegetables. Maybe you have some kale or you have some sombe, which is cassava leaves pondu. You eat that. Your tongue tastes it and sends a signal to the brain, and the brain is like, I think this person may have just eaten something that can be harmful. So there's a warning signal sent out to the rest of the body. Everything else that follows is in protection and preservation of you. The body does not want to encourage eating in this case. It wants to discourage eating, and it wants to eliminate this food that you've eaten, just in case it's not good for you. What follows is reduced palatability. The body also increases salivation. When you have more saliva, it's in hopes to dilute this possible toxin. Your appetite also decreases. The body also increases digestion. So there's more hydrochloric acid, digestive enzymes are sent out, and bile. Bile is what helps the body to break down fat in a meal. If you eat something that's high in fat, your body will release more bile. However, if you eat something that is bitter, it encourages the release of bile. Bile is an emulsifier. It contains cholesterol, it contains waste products, and it also contains old estrogen. The reason this is relevant for someone who may have estrogen dominance is that when there is an accumulation of estrogen in the bile, it's helpful to release that by releasing the bile and going down your whole digestive system. But in some cases, if your body is not releasing enough of the estrogen, it keeps getting reabsorbed. If you have more bitter vegetables, it may be part of the puzzle piece for you. So in summary, bitter food discourages overeating, and it also encourages elimination. The body is trying to get rid of whatever possible toxins you may have eaten. This matters if you have a sugar addiction or food addiction. You tend to overeat. Eating bitter foods can be very helpful for you. It also matters if you struggle with indigestion, feeling like your food sits in your stomach a little bit too long. It's also helpful if you have a sluggish liver or you're not absorbing fat very well, because it encourages bile release. If you fall in any of these categories, it may be a good idea for you to have more bitter foods that occur in nature that are also not poisonous, like arugula or kale or broccoli or cabbage, or what else is bitter? Dark chocolate. The next taste we'll be talking about is sour. When your taste buds pick up on sour food, what it's really tasting is the acidity or the hydrogen ions in the food. This sends a signal to the brain that something acidic has entered this person's mouth, and it also sends a signal that possibly something is spoiled, like spoiled milk, something is expired. It also causes the brain to send signals to the rest of the body in response to the sourness. One of the signals is to make your saliva a little bit more alkaline or a little bit more basic to neutralize this acidity. Because remember, there are some acids that are extremely acidic that it can destroy your flesh. The stomach acid that we have, hydrochloric acid, is really, really acidic, but the stomach is really the only place that should be that acidic. And your stomach is built for it. We have a nice coating of mucus around the stomach so that your stomach acids do not dissolve you. Okay, because in cases of ulcerations, that's how strong your stomach acid is. And if you've ever had acid reflux, heartburn, you may feel the effects of that strong acid. And the body is just trying to protect you from that in case you're drinking or eating something super, super acidic. And it does that by balancing out that acidity with more alkalized saliva. It does not have an impact on your blood alkalinity, but it does have an impact on your digestion. Interestingly enough, more acid being tasted signals to the body, the digestive system, to produce more stomach acid. Your body also produces more pepsin, which is an enzyme that helps to break down proteins. Acidity is a great thing when it comes to your stomach because you need enough acid to break down tougher molecules and to release minerals from certain compounds or certain proteins. If you struggle with indigestion, the sour taste is a great taste for you to incorporate into your meals. Also, if you are mineral deficient, having more sour food can be beneficial for you, because if you have more acid, that really helps to detach these minerals that are connected or very closely bound to amino acids. If you're having magnesium glycinate or if you're having magnesium citrate, you still need acid to detach these compounds from one another so that you can benefit from the minerals. If you know that you're iron deficient, sour flavors are a good one for you to have in combination with iron-rich foods. Same applies if you're zinc deficient, magnesium deficient, selenium deficient. Increasing the sour foods can be helpful for you. People in this category want to go for citrus fruits like grapefruit, more lemon. Squeeze that lemon on your fish and your seafood. Lemon in your seafood is quite beneficial. Seafood is high in nutrients, high in minerals in many cases. And if you have a lime or a lemon that you can squeeze on there, it's a good combination. You can also have fermented food like kimchi, sauerkraut, because they contain lactic acid. Moving on to salty food. When you taste salty food, your tongue is picking up on the sodium or the cations in that food, and it sends a signal to the brain that helps you to regulate your thirst centers. Having salty food can make you feel a little bit thirsty, and that's just to balance the electrolytes in your body. You don't want to have too much sodium in your body without having enough water. Salt is a great flavor for people to increase if they have dehydration, because it can encourage you to drink more water. It's also great if you have low blood pressure and if you don't consume a lot of processed foods. We do need sodium. We need sodium for the electrolyte balance in the body, the fluid balance. If you are not having any processed foods, it's a good thing. Congratulations, okay? Don't feel bad for this. However, that can lead to you having levels of sodium that are below optimal, and it's still needed, right? Not just sodium, but the other minerals available in salt. Rather go for Himalayan salt or sea salt as opposed to table salt, and definitely avoid salt that comes from processed food. The fifth and final taste that we'll be talking about is umami, the mysterious umami. I did not really know what this meant for a while, but when I discovered it, it all made sense, because umami is the meaty flavor or the more protein-filled flavor. And when your tongue tastes umami, it's really tasting the amino acid. An amino acid is the smallest component of a protein, but it's tasting amino acids like glutamate or aspartate. And when your brain gets these signals that protein has entered the building, the brain sends signals to the rest of the body in preparation for that. Similar to the sweet taste, the brain rewards you a little bit for eating an umami flavored meal by sending out some dopamine, a mild amount of dopamine, to encourage you to eat, because you need protein. You need it to build a lot of structures in your body, not just muscles. So eating is encouraged, but not too much. And that's one of the nuances when it comes to umami. It encourages you to keep on eating, but it also puts a little bit of the brakes on the eating. Unlike with the sweetness, which just tells you to keep on going, umami has a little bit of a pause. In response to umami, the body increases salivation, it increases digestive enzymes, especially pepsin and proteases, which are enzymes that help to break down protein. It also increases your CCK and your GLP-1, which helps your body realize that the meal is done, okay? There's a termination to this, it is finished. It also encourages your body to be more in a anabolic state, which is the building up state of your body. If you're trying to grow muscles, eating more umami foods can be helpful. If you're trying to better regulate your food portions, if you are someone who always wants something sweet after a meal, you may want to focus on eating more foods with this flavor. You can find this in a lot of high protein foods like eggs, fish, chicken, beef. But if you're looking for non-animal products or vegetarian options, you can find umami flavors in mushrooms. You can find them in fermented soy products like tempeh. You can find it in seaweed as well. Yeah, seaweed is high in glutamate, so you trigger that same response from eating these plants. In conclusion, I recommend that you assess what your body needs based off of what we discussed and spend the next 2 weeks catering to these needs, selecting tastes that are more beneficial for you, perhaps beginning your meals with the most relevant taste for you. It's also important to note that having too much ultra-processed foods decreases your sensitivity to the natural tastes from food. If you regularly eat ultra-processed food, try replacing them with whole foods. I recommend mixing these tastes. Try to see how many of these tastes you can add in one meal. I believe that Thai people do a great job at this. The first time I had papaya salad, I was perplexed. It was sweet and sour and salty all at the same time, and nutty because they added peanuts. But I've come to appreciate it because a lot of the foods combine flavors, and that creates more balance. Give it a shot, let me know how it goes, and I will see you in the next 2 weeks.